Does the Constitution therefore guide in what circumstances the army can engage in civilian duties, disaster, and emergency? Continuously, the police in this country have made it a habit to hide behind the Constitution in surrendering their duties to the army and surrendering civilians for the slaughter of the army.
Ooh. Come on. Jeez.
The army, which is largely partisan, unfortunately, treats opposition, treats media, treats human rights defenders as enemies of the state.
Ooh.
And then you have the police in abuse of the Constitution, hiding behind these two articles.
Wow.
Look at the ugly events in Guru. I've been telling people, because I come from the cattle keeping region, that there is no cattle owner that can subject his cattle to the whipping of civilians we saw in Guru.
Ode sichagambe inti ava mutundu eri abalunzi b'ente naye agamba tewali mulaalo oba muntu alina nte asobola kuba nteeze nga bwe bakuba abantu eggulu. Kyageza kugamba ki nti bwe baba tebasobola kuba abantu bwe batyo, nte bwe batyo, lwaki bakikola abantu? Newabeerawo ndoba armchair experts and analysts ku Twitter. Now, I am telling you now, Bobby Wine, you look at them and you're like, shut up.
During 2021 elections, Electoral Commission was hiding behind COVID, hiding their incompetence behind COVID. But there is no COVID now. I don't know what excuse Justice Byabakama will invent.
Nothing.
In his incompetence.
Yep.
Of course, we shall not forget his illegal pronouncement that voters cannot stay at a polling station. Also threatening the rights of voters, inviting the army to beat them. And he did say that they will be harvested like grasshoppers.
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
All right, guys. Ogamba oti okansumiti oli bulungi nze Mordecai Marissa. Tugenda kutunuulira ebigambo ebyavudde ew'oyo omukyala Sarah Bireete. Sarah Bireete, omu ku founders aba Center for Constitutional Governance munda mu nnyaffe Uganda, tera chairperson wakyo. She made this very wonderful speech. Jetwagala okutunuulira. I had a number of people send it to me, so we're going to break that down a little bit with my commentary. But before we do that, I want to say thank you so much. Eri abantu bonna abegasse ku channel twamazidde okweza abantu emitwalo era n'ekitundu. I don't take that for granted now. Like I usually say, that people who celebrate 1 million people, 500,000 people, whatever. But usually, abachina batugamba batya olugendo olw'ebigere 1,000 lutandika n'ekigere kimu. So thank you so much abali waneeno. Mission yaffe yakweza abantu emitwalo 5 before the end of this year. Tubulako abantu 15,000. So let's do it. We can. Okay. I made a video. Nina comment we nakoze ku Simon Muyanga Lutaya. And then you get it's unbelievable. Yeah, you get and that video yebadde tekeddwa okuzannya mu buno obudde. Naye abantu bangi nnyo bansindikidde video ya Sarah Bireete. Baga Monica, you need to watch this. And I was busy driving somewhere nenji playing. And I tell you, I played it again. Yaweddeko nenziramu nenjizannya. Ebintu byayogerako. She became emotional. Like she's baffled. And si jayogerako oyinza ogamba tayogera ku Uganda, but she's sick. And that's what I want to explain here. Let's go on and listen. Otegere byali mu kwogerako. And later on, probably tomorrow at 7 a.m. in the morning, ojja kujjulabe Simon Muyanga Lutaya byayogera. Ku bikolo bye bikolebwa mu Uganda, ye kyayogera. Unbelievable. Listen here.
Subscribe for all updates.
From the time we heard from Marek, I think I've been crying. Not that it's the first story, and Marek, we are sorry you had to go through that. Not that it's a first or new story. I attended the human rights exhibition in Nairobi, where all politically associated victims of torture were present.
That was terrible.
I saw the Uganda I never knew in that exhibition, and I know after that we were under constant harassment by the state.
Imagine
why
that.
we had to go to Nairobi.
Imagine, okay, let me explain here. Iyo event yali Kenya. Abebine byanjawulo mu Uganda bagende bateninga Besigye yaliyo, Bobi Wine yaliyo, bani okuva mu Alliance for National Transformation ng'ekibiina ky'obwana kyewa kitegese event ey'okwogerako ku kulinnyira eddembe ly'obuntu. Abantu abatulugunyiziddwa bwe baavaayo ne balaga ebisago ebatuusiddwako. Even attendance yokka yanyiiza government ya Museveni ne batandika okuharassinga bano lwaki mwagendayo. I mean, imagine the gall and temerity of these people.
For that joint exhibition by then FDC, National Unity Platform, hosted by the Human Rights Commission of Kenya, the NGO. At times you don't know which country we are living in.
I tell you.
Whether you are in the middle of Gaza, whether you are in the middle of former Kosovo, Somalia, at times it's difficult to tell. Imagine what he went through in a space of about 2 or 3 days. Things I'm sure he would never have imagined that he would go through, especially as an advocate, where you think you are a defender of other people. You are a defender of society. And then you find yourself in that dungeon. And we are all potential victims of that.
Yeah, that's what makes it sad. I usually fenna tuli potential victims. Like, oyinza okubeera eyo tikikwetaagisa just nga omukyala gwe nabalaga gye buvuddeko yali talina kyakola, yali ayimiridde abalaba vidiyo zange ng'ali awo ayimiridde talina kyakola, omusajja onajja n'amukuba kibooko. Lwaki? Kubanga asobola. We are all potential victims.
Everybody. You look at stories of the basement, teaching Runyankore. Unfortunately, a language that happens to be, the mother language for some of us. What kind of nation are we going to hand over to our children and grandchildren?
That's a very, 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 very good question, and I want to ask here. What kind of a country or nation are you going to leave to your children and your grandchildren? Look, I don't have children of my own, but I've had conversations. Nyumiza n'abantu abalina abaana. And there's something I love. Bwe mba njogera n'abantu abalina abaana. Ne bwe batomulaba tone. Ne bw'oba nga ayogera ku baana be. You are able to see what we call the height of selflessness. Okwagaliza abantu. Nti, omwana wange ndaba atya. Leka omwana tandaba. Nti, ayina kyagezaako protecting nti omwana ono leka akulenga ayina byatamanyi ebikyamu ebikolebwa. Neba n'abantu abakola ebikolobera okuba nnansi balina abaana. Ne baba n'abaana. Gwanga kiri baagala okubalekera. Erimu okuwamba, okutta, okutulugunya, okubuzaawo abantu okubakolako ebikolobero. What kind of a nation do you want to live, for your children or to your children? Gwangachi. And if that's not a question, tochirina mu birowoozo, then you are a selfish, I don't know. Sagala kubeera, saga koisa some choice words is that nungi.
I know many of the people who enjoy impunity don't think about such things. Mm-hmm. But if our grandchildren ask us 40 years from today, what shall we tell them? Mm-hmm. That what was our contribution as this was happening? Mm-hmm. I used to ask my father as a child on how they could let Idi Amin rule for 9 years. But here we are.
That's a slap in the face. It is. Na Uganda. I mean, yakola ebikolobero. And look, I'm not going to go into revisionist history. Oh, Amin yali mulungi biba mwogerako bikyama. No, Amin yali mukulembeze mubi. Ekikuleetera okulooza nti Amin yali mulungi kubanga Museveni mubi nnyo. Katugerageranya kibi ku kibi. He wasn't a good president. Yakola ebikolobero. And now, ayina ebimu yakola absolutely. Ebirungi. Yeah, webiri. Nete kimujjako nti yali mukulembeze mubi. Ekituleetera okubeera nga tuwulira some sort of nostalgia eri regime ya Museveni kubanga Museveni atuusiza ku kibayita precipice, atuusiza ku kibayita crossing the Rubicon, atuusiza mu kaseera akabi netandika okuyaayaanira ekibi. Ntugamba Amin yali mubi, kale batuweemu ye naye nga naye yali mubi. Naye mu bibi byonna byonna ebyo yakola Amin ebyokuwamba okutta okubuzaawo abantu. Jana n'omu yafiira ku mulembe gwa Amin oba temukimanyi. Nkimanyi obubi bwa Museveni butuleetera okulooza nti Amin yali mulungi. Nga bw'olaba bannaddiini battiddwa ku mulembe gwa Mwami Museveni. Yabikolera emyaka 9 gyokka. Tuli emyaka 40. Bajja kutubuuza kiki mwakola. Kyokka tulina mikwano gyaffe aba-identifyinga n'eno regime etta abantu. Abamu ku bo bambi bayita mu bizibu byamu naffe bye tuyitamu. Ne babazanyira dda ku mutwe. Museveni bw'avaako gwe ng'olabye.
Stuck. 40 years and still counting.
Yep.
When I tell my children that President Museveni came to power when I was in lower primary, they look at me as if I'm some kind of, maybe it's a mental problem. But I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And here we are. Many of you were not even born. Here we are stuck in the middle of this desert. Democratic desert called Uganda.
She's an amazing woman. Beba naboga truth to power.
How do we get ourselves out? When you look at the character, the character of the democratic citizenship of a Ugandan, how do we define it? Who protects a voter? Who protects an ordinary citizen? Because some of these abuses go beyond the electoral period.
Yeah.
They go beyond electioneering. The enforced disappearances in Noop have been continuous since 2020. And Uganda Law Society, a continuous abuse of rights of a particular group of people, according to Article 7 of their own statute, is defined as crimes against humanity.
Crimes against humanity. Bemi Museveni kubyatya okuva mu buyinza. Nti tulina betulabako bano batulugunyiza. Bw'aba avudde mu buyinza abantu be bayinza okujjayo batulugunyiza. Ffe twogera nno ku baffe abali ku opposition. Ne mulimu be battidde munda, be batulugunyiza munda. Nga these are crimes against humanity. That's why I told you, ne bwenda ba Museveni ngaseka. I don't laugh. I'm like, is he really laughing? Because how sick, how grotesque and dark can you be to preside over a country erimu ebintu bwe bityo? It is sickening. I do not know. Kati ate na explain abantu excuse batera okuwa Museveni gwonyoni avaako kajira abira wokko omanyi bwavaako ki, like they project some sort of a vague, very nebulous future. Biyinza kubeera bwe biti ebibi Museveni bw'aba avudde kwani akugamba. In the first place, Olutalo Rajja, because of Museveni, who was Katumba Oye of 1980. Singa Museveni ya launching Lutalo olwa 1980, maybe tutwandibadde wano we tuli kubanga terina kyedwatu yamba. Twadda mbizibu byebimu ebyaliwo. So kati lwaki tulowooza nti Olutalo luyinza okutuuka Museveni wava mu buyinza? Batutiisa obutawagira Kyagulanyi atalina muntu gwe yali asse. Tukuume ono nga tulina obujulizi bw'abantu abattiddwa. Shut up.
I've been asking your president, why don't you send a reference to the ICC on continuous enforced disappearances for now 5 years and we are still counting? The Rome Statute is very clear. We are a signatory. When you look at the state of the rule of law, of course, in the country, where the Law Society is a custodian and the eyes of the public, the recent World Justice Project ranked us 121 out of 142 in terms of rule of law. That's our score.
Wow.
Well explained in that report.
121 out of 142. Wow.
Rule of law index. When you check the civic space, the Civicus Monitor, which reports about civic space globally, released the latest report earlier this year, and Uganda is ranked as regressed.
Regressed.
In that report.
Tukkirira.
When you check the latest democracy index by the International Democracy and Engagement Assistance Idea, we are ranked as authoritarian. When you check the freedom index by Freedom House, we are ranked as not free. These are global reports. But we know what we go through. And Malik has summarized what many Ugandans are going through. In this
Ladies and gentlemen, we fall under 3 categories. Global organizations besula Uganda ku ddembe ly'obuntu n'abantu engeri gye bayisibwamu naddala beetaba mu bibiina mu nsonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga tugwa mu bintu bisatu. Ekitongole ekisooka kitugambe we are regressed mu kulinnyira eddembe ly'obuntu, twongera kukkirira wansi. Ekyobu kigambe nti authoritarian, mukono gwa kyuma, Museveni as a strong man kyayagala kye kikolebwa. Then ekitongole ekyokusatu kitugamba not free, tewali ddembe. Jeez.
This country. Sometimes you don't need to read these reports. We know what we are experiencing as citizens.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me. I mean, when I knew ko ne Bobi Wine mu interview gye twali naye eyasembe eno gye tubadde Boston, Massachusetts. Yagamba nti, do you know how long it would require me to convince you about the abduction? But because his friends, my friend Ed Mutwe, bamutulugunya, Chief of Defense Forces, our Chief of Defense Forces, nateeka ebifaananyi ku mikutu ng'agamba mutulugunyiza mujje mubeeko kye munkola. If that doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what will. Omanyi okutulugunya ne bateeka ng'abikola y'adumira ebitongole by'ebyokwerinda. Eyo mpisa ekolebwa batujju bokka. Mpaayo President ogwo agamba ntulugunyiza munansi munange. Tekiriyo. Ne President wa wano bamutenda bukambwe. Taswa kikola ekyo. Ku munansi munne.
We know what we are witnessing. And the question remains, what do we do? What can we do that we haven't done?
Yeah.
The elephant in the room is the conflict regarding the role of the army and the role of police in going about their work, and of course the civil-military relations in the country. Article 209 B is very clear. Article 209 is about the functions of the army. It states very clearly that the army can engage or act or collaborate with other civilian agencies in situations of disaster and emergency. When you go to Article 212 D, it says that the police can work and collaborate with other civilian agencies in doing their work. Is the army a civilian agency? No. Does the Constitution, therefore, guide in what circumstances the army can engage in civilian duties, disaster, and emergency? Continuously, the police in this country have made it a habit to hide behind the Constitution in surrendering their duties to the army and surrendering civilians for the slaughter of the army.
Ooh. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder, I don't know, how do these people collectively decide that, you know what? We know what the Constitution says, but we're going to put it away all in service of one man, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Because I know they are very learned, traveled, exposed, smart, intelligent men and women serving in our security agencies. But why would they suspend all the articles within this book and impress one man? Like the attacks you see on Bobi Wine. There's no way you can explain that, you can defend that. But why are some men, we've not seen not even one person in the military or the police resign? How? That really chimbuzabuza sichitegeera chimmalako emirembe wadde omuntu n'omu okulekulira n'agamba nekyo that's a little too much. It looks like there's no bridge too far. There's no depth empanvu too deep. Again okugamba bano abantu, okay, I think that's a little too deep, or that's a bridge too far tukome waneno. Jeez.
The army, which is largely partisan, unfortunately, treats opposition, treats media, treats human rights defenders as enemies of the state.
Ooh.
And then you have the police in abuse of the constitution, hiding behind these two articles.
Wow. Look at her.
I want to invite the Law Society to help us resolve this controversy. Under what circumstances should we be seeing the army on our streets?
Woo.
And if the radical new bar cannot help resolve this controversy, which is at the heart of rule of law matters in this country, then there will be no radicalness.
Exactly. I love this. There's no radical new bar. Okay, what? Show us your radicalism, how radical you are. Bwe mwavaayo ne mukola statement nga mugamba mukolinga out mpuga ku mbuzi gyali yewadde. We clapped for you. Why are you quiet? Government mugitwale mu kooti. Erina byekola ebikolobero bannamateeka e Uganda. Don't just pause. Zindi munnamateeka. Abannamateeka uga kuyamba ki?
In this bar that we love so much, then we shall not be back on track until we define how the army interacts with citizens of this country.
Oh, she's fire.
Look at the ugly events in Gulu. I've been telling people, because I come from the cattle keeping region, that there is no cattle owner that can subject his cattle to the whipping of civilians we saw in Gulu.
Ode kyagambe nti ava mu tundutundu eri abalunzi b'ente naye agamba tewali mulaalo oba muntu alina nte asobola kuba nteeze nga bwe bakuba abantu eggulu. Kyageza kugamba ki nti bwe baba tebasobola kuba abantu bwe batyo, nte bwe batyo, lwaki bakikola abantu? Newabeerawo ndoba armchair experts and analysts ku Twitter. Now, I am telling you now, Bobby Whitey, you look at them and you're like, shut up. I saw them recently. They were led by that guy, Sejusa. Respect to him for his service to the nation. But again, he plays this, and there's a bunch of people within the Museveni regime who really gave up. They gave up on Museveni. So now they resorted to some sort of commentary. Oh, because I am general now, let me give you my commentary about what's going on. Bavaayo. Balaba omuvubuka oli yali akutte emmundu gy'akoze mu bintu by'amayuuni ng'ali ku rally ya Bobi Wine. Sejusa. We tell you, according to security expert, toteekeddwa kubeera ng'okwata kino. Bayinza okumistakeninga ne bakuba essasi. Shut up. Olwalabise nga waliwo wa NRM akirina ali ne Tumukunde Henry teyawadde analysis. Like, I do not understand. Okutulugunya abantu okubawamba okubatta tebalina analysis ku byonna byonna. Naye omwana omuto kasitaakolayo ekibundu ekyamayuuni. Nze Sejusa kati kampe advice. Where are you? Ng'abantu babatta, nga babawamba, nga babatulugunya. Tulaga obukugu. Ekyakulwanya ki? Sacrifices zakutwala mu nsiku zaali ki? Kukomya ebyo bye bigenda mu maaso. Ekisinga okujjayo kwe kulaba omwana akutte ekibundu ky'amayuuni. Nze Sejusa kankubulireko byokola. Oh my God. Bano abantu.
Cows are no longer beaten. But the army, using that stick for keeping cattle, for herding cattle, descends on people, members of the opposition, in broad daylight, beat them on camera, and business goes on as usual.
That's
as if we are a normal country.
Exactly.
We have been traumatized enough that it's easy to move on. I don't know whether hoping tomorrow will be better or worse. But we all forget the things.
And that's so sad, really. Let me tell you, when you get to a point, abasoma mujjukira. Abasomesa we bakubanga nnyo abaana ne batukuba. Nga mbeeramu omwana omu eyeebuuza n'agamba oba bawera. Yeebuuza n'agamba ne munkubira ki? Either nga fees tazirina oba ng'ebintu tabitegeera. Atandika atya emiggo. N'otuuka n'ategeera tagenda kuyambibwa kati nga bw'omuyita omukuba emiggo agwawo bugwi. Oba tolina kyogenda kumutaasa. Toba tomutiisa. And Museveni ayinza okuba kikola ng'ali deliberate. Desensitize the people. Make brutality, oppression and repression normal. Such that bakumanya okubeera ekyo. But he wants again to keep on pretending nti afaayo nnyo ku democracy amanyi n'okujja n'ayogera. Democracy, yeah. But it is wrong. Nti ebintu bikolebwa nekitambula bulungi. We've been desensitized to a point of normalizing things, crimes against humanity. And that's really sad.
Move on. How can it be? How shall we get back on track? My sister, how shall we be back on track without resolving the controversy of the army, the impunity of the army in this country? Of course, we have other irregularities that have happened. Blocking rallies, I think in 5 districts now. That level of impunity.
Exactly.
That you can close a highway, stop a presidential campaign from going to campaign in a gazetted district.
I'm sorry for pausing here, but I want to refresh your minds, ladies and gentlemen. We're about stopping a rally ya Bobi Wine Guru. Waliwo ekimotoka ekinene ekyalimu sniper. Dayo ku video eri ku mukutu guno. Nagiteekayo. Genda olabe bwe yali eggulu. Sniper yakwata emmundu. We were watching live video eri. N'atandika okukyusa emmundu bw'ati. N'agitunuza mu presidential candidate. Now, oyinza ogamba ayo yali akikola kutiisatiisa. Even if yali atiisatiisa naye ekyo okikola otya. Presidential candidate talina kyonna kintu kyonna kitiisa. Talina tteeka ly'amenya. Ekyo kya bulijjo. Ekyo kya bulijjo. That's so sad. Let's go.
That you can close a candidate to sleep on the road or spend 5+ hours on the road. During 2021 elections, Electoral Commission was hiding behind COVID, hiding their incompetence behind COVID. But there is no COVID now. I don't know what excuse Justice Byabakama will invent.
Nothing.
In his incompetence.
Yep.
Of course, we shall not forget his illegal pronouncement that voters cannot stay at a polling station. Also threatening the rights of voters, inviting the army to beat them. And he did say that they will be harvested like grasshoppers.
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Ladies and gentlemen, bwe yayogera ku bantu okukuuma akalulu ekintu ekibiri provided for sigamba nti okusigala we tulondedde 20 meters away we tukubidde akalulu tuba tumenye etteeka no. Byabakama yagamba bajja kuyoolawo ng'omuddo. Ladies and gentlemen, ebyo bigambo byava mu chairperson of the Uganda Electoral Commission. Jeez.
Chair of Electoral Commission.
Exactly.
If we were a serious country, he would not be holding that office.
Thank you. Wow. Wow.
But of course we are not. What are the principles that can promote democracy in any country? The first one, of course, is rule of law. Ours is contested, constrained. It only favors the rich.
And the connected.
Independent institutions, of course, we are paying the price for the life presidency and total state capture in the country.
I love this one. Sarah Bireete, alongside Miriam Matembe, bring Betty Namboze Bachirike. Now, Goretti, Honorable Goretti Namuga, and a few others. Walwata babira yoboga bakweba kabwe basimu pala bedoga bukwalo chichi.
Active citizenry, I don't think we have even 3% of active citizens in this country.
Tutyo olutya.
Because if we did, this impunity would not be happening.
Exactly.
And of course, then free and fair elections and transparency and accountability.
Those are anathema to the system of Uganda.
When it comes to matters elections, I want to give another challenge to the Uganda Law Society. And that does...
Okay, I think we're going to end there. Please go on and watch this. Mbadde njagala kulennyeko ensonga. Go on channel bagiyita Extreme Media Uganda. I think I should subscribe here. Yes, they've given us some good work. Extreme Media Uganda, go on. Tulabyeko eddakiika 14. The speech is 22 minutes, but I wanted her okubeera nga ayogera eri akakiiko k'ebyokulonda amagye okwenywereza okweringiza mu nsonga z'ebyokulonda oba ez'ebyobufuzi nga kw'otadde n'okuwamba okutta okutulugunya abantu okunya eddembe ly'obuntu okuzza emisango gya kalintalo okunya eddembe ly'obuntu. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really sad. We are in a very dangerous situation as a country. And like we are under state capture, but really state capture is practical, very visible jetulaba. Eyemu na yesingo kubere embi. It is the capture of our minds. Like many people, like I saw Wike Benda, X-platform, gagezako kuwana Museveni. And then you have these Kezo, Wike Benda, and a few others. They do not know the importance of their fame and popularity. Chibasingo kufaako ze sente. The capture of the mind. Then you have people who have gone to school, who have traveled across this world, who have seen how things should be in other countries. But for some reason, they identify with the Museveni regime. Here's the defense they usually say. Go to Manchinza kutuko Bobi Wine Singa avuka president. Okay. Manye ekiriwo Museveni nga ye president. Lwaki ontiisa kukinza okutuuka omulala atattangako muntu atamutulugunyangako. And then you have a class of the elites, intellectuals. Now, Bobi Wine, if Bobi Wine cannot explain the GDP, blah, blah, blah. Okay. When Museveni explains the gross domestic product in Uganda, does that take away the fact that people's rights are trampled upon? They usually come up with excuses to defend a regime that has stolen everything they have for years. I don't know how that is. Simanyi, there's waliwo collective silence and complicity okuva mu abo abaweereza regime ya Museveni. Just a garage. Either it's manipulation, utter brainwashing, and complete indoctrination with that NRM simanya ideology. Tewali kwe bayimirira. There's nothing like NRM ideology. I usually want to have debates now about NRM. And usually my debates last for only 5 minutes because I'm like, okay, please start defending human rights, the abuse of human rights, the abduction, torturing, and killing of innocent people. Please, I give you 5 minutes. And you cannot. Omwami. Nebaba mutena mbujala bira muchala we agule mmere yamuzimbire nyumba bichi amulabirira awire abana nenga bulwadde waka bamigo amusala amuleseke enkwagulo amukubye muchala azimbye bino byonna byobokola tembeera mu mulamwa ekisooka mu bulamu bw'eggwanga lyonna kwe kwekitiibwa bannansi naddala abo abatakkaanya naawe ebirala ne biddako bw'oba tosobola kukola ekyo tolina wootandikira kwogera ku biki by'okoze nga batera okutugamba nga bwe ntera okubagamba mu kitabo Why Nations Fail. It's right here. Darren Achemegolu bw'oba tugamba nti institutions ebitongole biddukanya gavumenti Museveni abiwamba until institutions zisobola okwalulivinga omukulembeze tolina kye waakoze because ebirala byonna bisobola okuddawo bisobola okusaanawo enguudo basoboze kuba bbomu ebizimbe osobola okubikuba amalwaliro baga kuba bbomu ng'omuntu asaze okulumba naye bw'oba osobola okuva mu buyinza mu mirembe omulala najja, ebyo bye bikuumye eggwanga lino America okubeera afuna obwetwaze. Teri mukulembeze abaddewo ne bamugjamu nga bakuba abantu masasi. Zero. Now, ekyo kifudde the envy of the world. America etuukirira absolutely not. Si ggulu lya ku nsi, erina ebizibu byayo bingi nnyo. Naye erina ekintu kimu kyekola okukyusa obukulembeze mu mirembe. Regardless. So, sibalina bye njogera. Kubanga omukyalo yadde agonize ekizibu kya Uganda mu ngeri gye naaludde okulaba abantu nga boogera. Alright. Katuke njogedde ebyo. Now, lindirira. Enkya ssaawa emu ey'okumakya. Please come here and watch Simon Muyanga Lutaya. Unbelievable. All right. You know the drill. Please subscribe, like this video, share it out there. And please make sure that you invite other people to come and join us. I love you and I wish you a wonderful time. Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.